Hi guys, today I'd like to talk about the Digimon Vital Bracelet. It's been about 2 weeks since I've had this now, and I've raised a couple of megas. As you can see, the coloured sprites are beautiful. I really enjoy playing with this. I've always enjoyed V-Pads, and this is V-Pad with coloured sprites, so can't get better than that. And through the experience, I've raised about 3 ultimates so far. I'd like to share some pro tips and advanced tips for players who are playing this for the longer term. Now, there are already tons of basic guides that are out there, links you can read, videos on how the basic function works, so I'm not going to cover that. This video is made specifically for more advanced tips than just the basic functions. Some of them border on being a little dirty, like a little almost like cheating, but if you are interested and you want to see how you can game the Vital Bracelet to shortcut your way to complete more of the Digimon entries and raising more Digimons, then go ahead and continue watching. Also, some of the tips that I'm going to share you might already be familiar, then there's no point in watching that segment. I'll be providing the timestamps for all the 10 tips, so I don't want to waste your time. I hate wasting my own time as well, so I don't want to feel like I'm wasting people's time. So if you feel you already know the tip, go ahead and skip to the next tip. You can see in the timestamp below. I'll be listing them down, all 10 tips that I would like to share. So the first tip that some people might not be aware, right, is that when you are battling on the Vital Bracelet and you know you're about to lose a battle on that specific battle, you can actually switch off your device to avoid recording that loss. So this is almost like a cheat, right? It's not deliberate as a basic function of the Vital Bracelet. So you can see the switch here. You can just turn it off if you know that you're going to lose the battle. So it's not meant or it's not designed that way, but you can exploit that function. So it's almost like cheating. If you don't want to do it that way, you can. But I'm sharing this tip because victory rate is one of the critical evolution conditions in this game. You need to maintain 70% for some, 50% for some. And so losing a battle sometimes mean, and if you know statistics or math well enough, you might have to fight 2 or 3 battles to make up for that battle that you have just lost. So it does save you a lot of time. If you know you're going to lose your battle, it's better to just switch off and switch on your watch again. Now, the downside to doing this is that there are downsides, right? Downside is that you end up resetting your resting heart rate to 80. So if on a day-to-day basis, your resting heart rate is actually low, like 65, and some activities will bring up your heart rate to about 80 or 100. That will help you clock your vital values. That's how the game works. But if you switch off and on, immediately it resets your resting heart rate to 80, and it will take some time to recalibrate back to 65. So you do lose out on some organic vital values. On top of that, another downside, second downside, is that you reset your progress on your normal missions. So usually you have your normal missions here, as you can see. And your normal mission will have, for example, now it's 9,000 steps, it's 2,000 steps to go to reach 9,000. If you switch it off, it does reset your progress from 2,000 to 0. Okay, so it's the same for your vital values. It's the same for what are the normal missions are there? Battles. Let's say you need to clock 10 battles and you have already fought about 7, and in this one you're trying to avoid, and you switch it off, and you switch it on again, the battle count resets to 0. So those are the downsides. So it's up to you whether you want to use this trick or not. Switch it off when you feel like you're going to lose the battle, especially since it takes a while for the animation to play out. So you know that in the next hit you have missed and your opponent is going to hit you, and you know your HP is really low and you really want to avoid that loss. That's what you can do. So that's the first tip. A second tip, and this is quite common, but somehow even though it's in the basic guides, some people don't really know how to use it, is that when you have triggered a battle and you know that the opponent is really strong, so especially if it's one evolution stage on top of you, so if you're adult and you're looking at a perfect Digimon that you have encountered and you know you can't defeat because your vital values are so low and there's no way you can defeat a perfect stage, you can hold the select button, which is this button on this side. You hold it down and you'll be able to escape from the battle. So when you trigger, there's a warning sign, and I can show it to you later. And once you see who is that Digimon, and you know that you don't want to get into that fight with it, just hold the select button, you'll be able to escape from that battle. Alright, so that's tip number 2. Third tip is you can use your smartphone to trigger battles. So while it's advertised that you need to use some NFC trigger, and usually they put it on the vending machines or some payment machine, or some people have been sharing videos of using their Switch to trigger battles, you don't really need that fancy devices, those fancy devices. Any device that can emit the NFC signal will be able to trigger a battle. So that includes your smartphone. If your smartphone has NFC capability, and that's probably how you need to connect your Vital Bracelet to the app, then that's how you can trigger a battle. So I'm just going to do a live demo. Some people don't seem to know this, so I'm just sharing this, but if you know, feel free to skip ahead. Right, so for example, I'm just going to put it in the center here, right, and it triggers a battle. Okay, and as mentioned, if I want to escape from this, I can just hold the select button. It will show the animation of him running away. Right, so my Kazuchimon just ran away from that Shootmon battle. Actually, I could have just battled and probably won. So let me just try that. See who else I can find. Bandai is easy, so I can just choose and I'll just connect. So as you can see, some phones, the NFC signal is positioned slightly differently. Some are at the top of the phone, some are in the middle of the phone. So in this case, this specific phone seems to be in the middle, right? And that's where I need to position the phone to trigger the battle. My other phone, I need to position somewhere at the top of the phone to trigger the battle. So that's a quick way to trigger battles instead of you having to find vending machines or payment machines if you don't know. But it's quite a common thing that most people already know. So now, sharing tip number 4 is that actually in your VB Lab app, you can see the list of arena battles. There are arena battles for almost every evolution stage. I will just put it on the left. You can see there is a child stage, adult stage, perfect, and ultimate. And each stage, there's actually 3 attempts for every stage. So make sure you utilize all those opportunities, because every battle, whether you win or lose, you get some Tamer EXP or you get some coins, which will be really useful, especially the coins you can buy items in the item shop that can boost your vital values, etc., or even shorten your evolution time. So tip number 5 is if you think you can't hit the evolution requirements for the Digimon's evolution, right, you have to cancel the evolution to save yourself some time. So it's the same way you run away from battle. You just click this button here and you'll be able to cancel the evolution. But the thing about evolution is that the way it works is slightly different from battle. So just now, as you can see from the video, after you have encountered a Digimon, you can see the picture of the Digimon and then you press cancel to run away. When it comes to evolution, the moment the pulsing sign appears across your screen, it's black and there's that white pulsing line, you have to click the cancel if you don't want that evolution. You need to know your Digimon's stats by heart. In other words, at that point in time, you need to know what are its stats, and you know that it's not going to be able to evolve into your desired Digimon. Then you click cancel, because if you see that pulsing line and you click the select button, you will see who it's going to evolve into and it will just evolve. Then that's too late. You can't cancel after the pulsing line screen. So once you see the pulsing line screen, you have to cancel. Now, how does that work? In other words, you need to be familiar with the evolution requirements, which this great user Humulos has done a great evolution guide. Refer to it and you will know exactly, based on your stats for your Digimon, who is going to evolve into. So for example, if you are having a Vidramon on the Ancient Warriors card and you are trying to get Arrow Vidra, and Arrow Vidra stats are those number of trophies with those number of battles and those vital values, and you know that you are about 2 trophies short to reach Arrow Vidra. That means you're going to hit Sagittariumon. Now, you don't want to get Sagittariumon and you know that you're still lacking 2 trophies, so you're not going to get Arrow Vidra. And the time has come and you see the pulsing line, that's when you cancel. Because you know there's no way you can hit Arrow Vidra, you just cancel the evolution. What it does after you've cancelled is that it resets the timer after that cancellation. So if it takes 24 hours to evolve from Vidra to Arrow Vidra, after you cancel, the timer just resets to 24 hours. There's not much. There's no penalty there, except that you just get more time to hit the evolution requirements you want. Okay? The application is not just for Digimons with better stats, it can work backwards as well. So if you are actually aiming for Sagittariumon, for example, and you've accidentally screwed up and you earned too many trophies and fought too many battles, so your Vidramon has way too many trophies. There's 12 trophies and it's about to become an Arrow Vidramon, and maybe has fought too many battles as well and it's going to become Arrow Vidramon based on those stats, but vital value is still a stat requirement. So you just need to make sure you can cancel, because you know it's going to be Arrow Vidra and you have already evolved into Arrow Vidra, for example, and you're just trying to complete your Digidex, your Digipedia, or whatever it's called, and you want Sagittariumon. And what you can do, you can cancel the evolution. 24 hours later, just during that 24 hours, maybe you wear your Vital Bracelet less, you get lower vital values. So once your vital values are low enough and it's not high enough to hit Arrow Vidra, and you maintain it at a very low balance, then you can potentially become Sagittariumon. So it can work both ways, right? So tip number 6, right, is that you can clear your adventure stage 15 once, and you don't have to clear it again. The moment you have defeated stage 15, the first thing you should do is to transfer that Digimon into your app, right? What it does is that it will update your app and your account that you have defeated. You have defeated stage 15 for that dim card. And it shows in your Tamer profile as well. If you go to your Tamer profile, you will be able to see that the icon has lit up or is colored, right? And that means that the game has recorded that you have defeated adventure stage for that specific dim card. So what happens next is that if you have a future Digimon that you're growing and you want it to evolve to that unlocked evolution, all you need to do is just transfer it into your app again, and you transfer it out, it will tag that clearance stage, right? The stage clearance into that Digimon, and when you put it into your app, you will be able to see, and you can see it here as well, right? You should be able to see in the adventure mission when you select it. Now, I have not defeated, so you can see that the text is in yellow. So goal stage 15 is in yellow. Once you have defeated, it will say red. It will show a red font, and that means that it's cleared. And on the app, as mentioned, the easiest way to see is that in that Tamer profile, the icon for that dim card is colored. So it's a feature that's really useful, and it makes it less tedious. You don't have to defeat it every time you want to evolve into the unlocked evolution. Okay, tip number 7 is how to wear your Vital Bracelet. So for the purpose of this video, because I'm a right-hander, I'm showing you so that it's easier for me to press with my right hand. But day to day, if you want to clock more activities, it is actually easier for you to wear on your dominant hand. So if you're a right-hander, go ahead and wear it on your right hand. So what it does is that because your dominant hand is moving more often because you use your right hand more often, or if you're a left-hander, you wear it on your left hand, it clocks more activity because basically there's a pedometer gyroscope kind of thing that's working behind this device. So when you reach out for things, even if you're sitting in an office and you're just using your mouse and you're doing your work, that movement of your mouse will clock as activity, will clock as steps. So imagine if you're moving your mouse when you're doing your work, right? It's really clocked a few steps, right? So it's a little dirty. Once again, it's not the original intention of the device. You're supposed to actually walk, but if you are really concerned about the vital values dropping because you're desk bound, your work requires you to be desk bound, and you're sitting all day, wear it on your dominant hand. It helps to maintain your vital values. Tip number 8 is also slightly dirty, is that instead of setting the time or using the time as it is, right, change the time to extend your day. So your Digimon sleeps based on this personality or activity level, right? But usually they sleep around 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. But as adults, sometimes you go to bed really late, like let's say 12 or 1 a.m. That's about 3 to 4 hours that you could have recorded as evolution time, because for the way the Vital Bracelet works, if you are awake, if your Digimon is awake, that's when the evolution timer is counting. But if your Digimon is asleep, the evolution timer is paused. So past 8 p.m. or 9 p.m, when your Digimon has fallen asleep, but you're not going to bed at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m, what you can do is just to set the time. So just change the time, right, to a time when your Digimon, it's definitely awake. So for example, Kazuchimon here sleeps at 9 and wakes up at 9. So if it's 9 p.m, then I just need to change the time to 9 o'clock. So once I set it to 9 o'clock, it ensures that it's awake, right? And once you do that, it will be awake. But as mentioned, the downside of doing this, there's a downside, is that the steps are reset, right? So anything that you were trying to do on your normal mission will just be reset back to 0. So, but it's really helpful if you really want to acquire evolutions better, that you just extend your day to evolve faster. Similarly, if your Digimon is waking up at 9 a.m, but you are awake at 7, so that's 2 hours that your Digimon is just sleeping while you're awake, you can change the time so that it's 9 a.m. and it just wakes up, right? Even though it's only 7 a.m. It does confuse you a little if you're not used to it. You're looking at a watch, but it's not the correct time. So if you really want to gain the Vital Bracelet to shorten evolution time, that's something that you can do. Of course, there is, and this is just an additional tip on this tip number 8, is that there is this mod that you can do. It's called the 1 minute mod, and it involves opening up your Vital Bracelet and soldering certain parts. And in that, when you do that, it actually shortens the time for your Vital Bracelet from 1 second becomes 1 minute, right? And 1 minute basically becomes 1 hour, something like that. So, but I wouldn't advise that because it really shortens the gameplay time, and sometimes it becomes even more difficult to obtain the Digimon that you want. And definitely you're not just wearing it as it is. You have you're not tracking based on your vital values as a tamer, right? It's not tracking your heart rate per se, because it's just running by 1 minute equals 1 second, and it's not reversible from what I understand. So once you've modded it, it stays that way. So it depends on how that really is hacking into the system, and I wouldn't advise that. But setting your time so that you can extend your day to evolve your Digimon faster, I think that's reasonable. Right, tip number 9 is how to quickly get trophies. So some evolution stage requires a lot of trophies. So for example, from the perfect to the ultimate stage, some of them require 20 trophies, right? How do you quickly get trophies? Because every day you get 1 for normal mission, and then you have 4 hard missions, and every hard missions you can get 1 or 2 trophies. So that means if you consistently perform well for every hard mission, the maximum you can get is 9 based on normal and hard. Of course, you can put in some special missions as well, which there are 4 currently. One of them is you have to get 6,000 steps in 1 hour. Another one is 10 battles within 1 hour. Another one is 10 wins in 1 hour. And the last one is 360 vital values in 1 hour. And those you get 3 trophies for every one you complete. But they are quite limited. You get maybe 1 or 2 of these per day, or you need to spend money to buy them. But the easiest way that doesn't require you to utilize your special missions is actually to just set the time. So basically, every time the watch changes time from 2359 to 12 a.m. 00:00, in that 1 minute, what happens is that all the missions get reset. So after you've completed your normal mission and your 4 hard missions, and it shows clear, right? That means you don't have any more missions to clear, and you just have to wait for a daily reset. Just set the timer to 2359. 1 minute later, all of those missions will reset, and you have a new set of missions to work on. And that means you can just quickly run through those. So within 1 hour, you should be able to get 20 trophies. It's really fast, it's really easy. So that's a quick way to game it without having to spend coins on special missions and without using your stash of special missions, which you might want to save up for, urgent situations when for some reason you really need to get that many trophies in a very short time. Same downside, the moment you set your time to 2359, right? It's the same downside to having to adjust your time. All your progress on your normal missions or your steps, everything is reset to 0. Okay, but I think it's a good upside for the potential risk of resetting your steps. Tip number 10 is how to game the hard missions. So there are some videos that share that sometimes you don't actually have to do the actual exercise. So there are 4 exercises in your hard mission. One is punching, one is crunches, you have squats, and you have dash. So I think they're quite intuitive what they are. Of course, you can actually do the actual exercise to clock the activity, but there are some recommendations that you can just shake your watch. Now the trick that I found is that don't just shake your VB randomly. So some people will just do this and they will say, oh, just shake your watch, and then you will just record it as an activity. But what I found is that the way that the watch is designed is quite smart. They do recognize if the pattern, the motion is not consistent with the exercise. So what I found is that, for example, if the exercise is punching, now you, instead of shaking your device like this, which it does count as a step, right? But the device is smart enough to know that nobody punches this way, right? So you might want to do a more an action where your fist is actually moving in the same direction as your Vital Bracelet, and it actually clocks better results and you get more trophies from there. So if it's a squat exercise, you might want to do your shaking motion in a more swinging action, right? So it does record it better than if you're just shaking it randomly, vertically or horizontally, right? It requires that swinging action, and if you just swing, it actually records more and you get more trophies for it, more consistently. So I've witnessed getting 2 trophies quite consistently when I'm actually doing moving the Vital Bracelet according to the exercise. But similarly, it's a little dirty. It's actually better to just do the actual exercise. Right? So that's something that we want to think about if you're thinking about gaming the hard missions. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope that the 10 tips are really something useful. And do not forget to subscribe if you like the videos that I do. I'll continue to maintain a journal of all the Digimon that I raise on the Vital Bracelet, and I'm doing that because I really like the animation. It's really well done in terms of, I can't say the same for the hardware, but the software, I mean the animation, the sprites, everything that's been done on the app, as well as the appearance of the Digimon is really nice. And so I really like this series, and I'll continue documenting the Digimons that I raise on the app. And so feel free to check out the playlist. I'll continue to complete the other dim cards, and as I get more dim cards along the way, I will also document them as well. So I hope you enjoy. Do stick around, and thank you for watching.